Hello again, I'm Dr. Omar from Aligned Modern Health in Lincoln Square, and today what we're going to go over is mobility drills and some movement exercises using a few pieces of equipment. So what I have here is a standard foam roller. There's different lengths and different things on them. This one's just foam. This one has a little bit more feedback. I kind of like these a little better just because I feel like it gets into like the nooks and crannies of your back. Another thing that I'm going to show you is how to use either a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball to kind of do some fascial or muscle release in the hip flexors and the quads, and kind of also in between the scaps and shoulder blades. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get down to the floor with your foam roller, and what we're going to start with first is the quadriceps muscle, or the thighs. Quadricep means four, so there's 4 different muscles that comprise the quadriceps. So what we're going to do is kind of hover above it. You might have to position it a little bit different each time. I like to do both at the same time just because it helps with more body weight. Then I go onto my forearms and I just kind of go front and back. And then you find a certain spot where you feel like it's a little harder. What you're going to do is just kind of stand there and just let the muscle kind of melt away. I also like to add some dynamic movement so that the muscle fibers are gliding along that foam roller, and that'll help to release some of that myofascia. And then just kind of keep going above it. People ask me all the time how long they should be foam rolling for. There's really no given answer, but usually it's until it feels right for you. So usually around 5 minutes per area, or less. You can do 3 to 5, but whatever you do to one side, make sure you do to the other. So again, just moving your leg up and down, moving to different angles, getting the different sides. This one again, we're gonna move it up and down. Getting to the insertion points, getting into the origin, moving different angles, make sure you get all of those muscles. And then what we're gonna do, since we're already on the ground, is kind of just shift onto our side and get, not the IT band, but the lateral quadricep and where the IT band starts and stops, because that's really what is affecting the tightness, not the IT band. You can foam roll the IT band all day and it's not gonna do anything, and it's just gonna really hurt more than anything. So what you wanna do is get into a position as such and just kind of let your body find where it needs to foam roll a little bit. You might have to change angles and kind of use your body weight, your arms and your legs to kind of move up and down. Again, we're gonna kind of just move different angles. Walk yourself up, get the bottom part. I like to kind of move back and forth here to make sure that every part of the muscle is getting worked from origin to insertion. So where the muscle starts and where the muscle ends. And then again, you're gonna do that to the other side. Then what we're gonna do is take the foam roller and put it behind your back so you can get the posterior or back sides of the muscles. Hamstrings and glutes, which often get neglected. But what you're gonna do for your glutes, for your butt, is come onto one leg, and you're going to use that body weight to really drive into the glutes. Again, you're gonna wanna do different angles so that you're getting the glute medius, the glute max, the glute min, even the piriformis on the side here, and then even part of that TFL if you go into different angles. Again, everything's gonna look a little strange when you're finding the right angle, but who cares? You're trying to feel better. Then you do the same for the other side, and then you kind of move around. And then once that's all fine and dandy, you're gonna go into your hamstring, which I like again to do. So what you're gonna do is try to support your body with your hands back here, and then what I like to do sometimes is just cross so I can get more of that body weight on and more feedback through the foam roller. And then you're gonna do the other side as well. And then once you find that that's sufficient, I like to end with some mid-back or thoracic mobility. This is a great way to open up and get some movement into your spine. So I'll show you with the standard one, and then I can show you with this one. But what you're gonna do is have it at the seat here, the bottom of your spine. What I like to do, and careful if you have long hair, that's why I tied mine up, because you don't want it to get stuck. It doesn't feel too good when it gets pulled. But you're gonna just kind of bend over it. And then what you're gonna do, I like to put my hands behind to kind of support my head. And what you're gonna do is just kind of fold, and using your heels to kind of drive up, fold over, fold over. You don't wanna go too far down your spine because it starts to get uncomfortable. But kind of just even rolling, keeping your hips up a little bit and rolling against your spine feels pretty good. And sometimes you'll feel a pop or that cavitation. That's okay. What you're doing is forcing your body against something hard, and then that's releasing the air in your spine, and you're just getting to a new end range. So that's just fine. Don't be alarmed if you hear that. And then I kind of just go through again. Then sometimes I curl under and try to just get a little bit of my lower back. And just do whatever feels right for you. If you feel like something's feeling too sharp or too naggy, then don't push yourself to do it. So we'll start with the hip flexor, and I'll use the lacrosse ball here first. But this one, you can do it on carpet, hardwood floors, or tile might be a little bit better, just so it doesn't kind of dig into the carpet. But what you're gonna have to do is kind of finesse it under your body a little bit. Hip flexors go quite high, people don't think. They pretty much go at the bottom of where your abs are, and so you're gonna have to feel around. And my body's just basically absorbing it at this point, but I like to kind of, again, like with the foam roller, is move my leg in and out, and then I can feel kind of where the tendon is. And you'll feel like it's a good stretch and good release. Obviously, you don't want to go too high. Don't go anywhere near the ribs or midline by your belly button. The hip flexor is going to be right above that bone you have here, the pelvic bone in the front, okay? And so you're going to kind of move around. Again, do everything both sides. It's pretty tight on me because I just went for a run, but again, everything you do, both sides. And then I'll show you a Piriformis one, and this one hurts like the dickens, so careful when you're doing it. But again, when you have the ball underneath, it might be a little sneaky. So you can get more control with the ball. That's why I like doing Piriformis or glute work with the ball rather than with the foam roller. But it doesn't, it's not as forgiving as a foam roller, we'll just say that. But what you want to do is kind of find a spot where it's super tight, maybe a little achy, and just kind of, I like to move my leg in and out because that opens up and activates different fibers of the glutes, and that'll help to kind of release the Piriformis and the glutes. Even, especially if you're having any kind of like shooting pain or tingling from sitting too much, this is a great way to release that. And then we're gonna head on over to the wall for a good release for your mid and upper back. This one requires some more finesse, which I tend to not have. But what we're gonna do is put the ball, stick it against the wall, snake your body around. Careful with your ponytails too, if you have one. And what you're gonna do is kind of open your scap a different way and kind of get into the inside border of your scap and just kind of move around. Move your arm up and down, try to catch it, do the other side. And you can get kind of into that lat tendon too. And here, kind of open this up, reach across, roll into it here, do a couple squats here, a couple two-tree squats here. And you want to open up kind of the mid-back and the scap, the area where you're feeling tight. Behind your shoulder is a good one, and kind of just like move around and kind of get different angles, and that's a good release. And all you need is a ball and a wall. Okay, and then there's one final one that you can do with the lacrosse ball, and then I'll show you the converse of how you can use it with a foam roller. But what you're gonna do is come onto something that's a little more padded. So I grab my mat here, and what you're gonna do is take the lacrosse ball stick it kind of just a little bit below the crevice of your knee, and you're gonna sit on that lacrosse ball, and that's gonna help to, one, release your calf, but also kind of get into your hamstrings at the same time. And then you can kind of move it around, and you're kind of just using your body weight again to kind of get into it. And again, different muscle fibers, different angles. You can just play around with it and just like sit on it for a little bit. And so what you can do with a foam roller to release the calves instead of the lacrosse ball is, I'm gonna use this blue one instead, but what we're gonna do is you're gonna sit down and then go on one of your calves, maybe the one that's a little tighter than the other, post-run, pre-run. I like to do it before or after, really. What you can do is just keep it here. If this is enough pressure for you, that's great. If you're feeling like you need a little extra pressure, what I like to do is bring my other leg on top, cross it over, and lift myself up. So I have both gravity and body weight to kind of dig into my calf, which it's pretty tight today. And then you switch over and do the same on the other side. Again, different angles, get inside, go outside, and just help to release those as well. Move your ankle up, move your ankle down. You can even just sit here with the body weight. You don't even have to lift yourself up, and just move your ankles in different ways, and that'll help to release that. So these are great ways to kind of stay mobile and get your muscles moving, stretch them out a little bit using very little equipment. All you need is a foam roller and a little ball. Thanks. Stay safe, wash your hands, and stay home.